Alright. Alright, hi everyone. My name is John. This is I was supposed to have done a blog earlier, or vlog, whatever you want to say, and this is actually going to be, hopefully, prospectively, my very first vlog / commentary on something I just want to speak on. I really don't want to waste any time. That's what I did that regarding another vlog of mine, and that made things very poor. So I want to get straight into my point here now, as it will be aptly titled. It's on the Georgian, Russian, South Ossetian conflict. I'll refer to that as Caucasus, but whatever you want to say. I don't know. I've been following Putin's policy for about since about 8 months ago, pretty avidly, and that's definitely something that's been a persistent interest of mine since I really started following world news more avidly than I ever had before. And with that said, when I heard about Medvedev's, first of all, the conspiracy thoughts behind his election to the point of the position of presidency, and then what we're dealing with right now, the invasion of Georgia, or whatever you want to say, whether Russia's defending their interests or something else. I don't know if you want to refer to it. I wouldn't refer to it as such, because they're definitely not peacekeeping, whatsoever. Well, I mean, that's subjective, but there's a lot more aggression involved with a lot of their militaristic doing than anything otherwise. So yeah, I've been dealt with this. I deal with this forum that's rooted in politics, discussion of that. And I've never really been too big on it. No one really discusses anything. They just say their own views and have everyone else respond saying their own thing too, which I think is kind of stupid. But there was a post on this site, and it's like, is Russia unstable? I guess they meant on a general scale rather than will they collapse. But I mean, is their leadership in the right mind to be considered leadership? And the person who made the post, he's Norwegian, if that's any. I'm going to get into my take on the world's take of Russia a little bit, so that's kind of important, I guess. But he brought up a lot of sound points regarding what they're looking for in policy, what they're looking for in leadership. That's for in prospective policy, not foreign. And I don't know, based on what they do, what they've claimed to be saying, it's about, regarding their invasion, regarding the aggression that's taken place towards Georgians and Georgia, is to defend the sovereign state of South Ossetia, as they have many dual citizens there, and it's their right to do so, and it's their duty to do so, I suppose. And that's not their state either. And the fact that Georgia's involved with conflict with South Ossetia is, again, an argument of sovereignty. It just seems, regarding all of those nations actually at this point, but most notably Russia, it just seems like a territorial pissing contest. That's not very eloquent, I know, but that's what it is. And it's just it's sad when you hear about the civilians who are being killed. We don't have an exact number. Whether or not there were 5, whether or not there were 500, it's sad that just simply because of a battle of territory, that people who have nothing to do with anything militaristic, and those sad people too. The military shouldn't be dying either. It's not right. Just because of territory and ambiguous territory, I guess, regarding what's sovereign and what's not. I don't know. Does Russia think they're still the USSR? Because based on these actions, it seems so. To hark back to my point regarding following Putin's policy, it seemed like, when I was reading on it, it seemed like there really was a Cold War, like even about 6 months ago, based off a lot of abstinence he's had regarding some U.S. military policy within Turkey and other nations relatively close to Russia, primarily meant for use within the war on terror, from what I'd read, and he's also always adamantly against that, and other things too relative and similar to said topics. And it's like, I didn't know what he was going for, because at this point there's supposed to be a newly reformed, democratic regime, and it doesn't seem that way at all. It didn't seem that way at all. When I heard about Medvedev, to again hark back to that, we'd heard that he's much more liberal-minded in terms of both government, it was reported, I guess I should say, excuse me, and also in his general take on life. And this is saying what's been going on within the Caucasus region at the moment, implies everything otherwise. And I think it's it's just really sad for everyone involved that has no say within the policy, and it is also sad for Russia's sake too, regarding the reputation that they're going to be portraying with all their acts of aggression towards their region, the region that is relative to them, and also there isn't actually any physical acts of aggression, obviously, regarding the rest of the world at this point, but the political aggression that they've portrayed regarding their obstinacy to back down and let NATO and the EU take care of the situation on their terms, more so than Russia going about it alone. You know, one of the people who responded within that thread, within that forum, who was Russian, he was saying a lot of it's just the West being fed stories as to Russia being evil, and that's their motivation, that's their reasoning for being aggressive towards Russia. When, I mean, Russia, they're committing these acts. You know, and hasn't there been enough of that collectivist, fascist take within their history now for the last century? Don't they want to? They're supposed to be democratic right now, and it doesn't seem that way at all. You know, and the fact that they're supposed to be declaring themselves as democratic would suggest that they want to reform, but all of their acts, all of the spoken policy and, you know, oral, verbal, written, whatever, that, you know, peaceful policy that they've dealt with towards the U.S., towards the EU that I've read about is always at least moderately hostile, and that's not helping the world, especially amidst, you know, the threats of terrorism. Not to say I buy into my country. I'm American. I buy into my country's, you know, justification for attacking Iraq and Afghanistan completely. But I mean, regardless of the reasoning there, we are at war, and that doesn't help us. That doesn't help Russia, as they're involved too, I believe, at least to some extent, and the rest of the world, especially especially European powers. As I know, Nicolas Sarkozy, French president and president of the EU, has been trying to negotiate with Medvedev, current president of Russia, as I mentioned, and get things to, you know, be resolved on very civilized, very logical terms. And Medvedev's so stubborn about it, and it just makes you wonder, you know, what exactly Russia's leadership is thinking. Do they really think they can become a power? Because as far as I can tell, they don't even have too much support within their own country. There are people who are, you know, probably against the fascist take. I'm not going to say they're as fascist as they were as the USSR, but things are not purely democratic at all right now. Things are not civilized at all based on their take on what is sovereignty regarding South Ossetia and Georgia. They shouldn't be involved in the conflict. They should have had the EU resolve it in the first place, as if they did, I bet everything would be completely resolved by this point. They only exacerbated the issue in trying to prove that they're still a power despite the USSR's collapse, and it doesn't help anyone. And that's all I guess I wanted to portray. There are a couple things I would like to still touch on regarding Putin specifically, and, well, not so much Medvedev, but I would like to speak on, you know, most notably their leadership, specifically more so than the conflict. But I don't have really much time for that, apparently, based on because I don't want to go over the limit again. But yeah, that's my take. The conflict is needless. Russia needs to realize that they don't. If they want to prove that they are a power, they need to learn to, you know, go about proposing sound policy, intelligent policy, civilized policy. They don't need to enforce policy through violence, especially when the policy it doesn't pertain to them at all. It doesn't really help their reputation regarding their people, or their reputation, you know, faced by the rest of the world, because no one's too happy about, you know, Georgia and South Ossetia right now. Nothing good has come across it. They still haven't integrated those states within theirs, and they're not going to, as long as the EU and the US and everyone else who's at least moderately powerful within the world of politics is still around. And that, sorry to say, that is still the case. Maybe I might be oppressed later, but as of right now, that's not the case. So I really hope we could go about this peacefully and find some resolution soon. Some true resolution, not just to the, you know, Caucasus issue, but regarding Russia's state of mind towards the world. I have to cut short now, so thanks for watching this. Hopefully we'll do another vlog pretty soon, and I hope to see all of you next time. Subscribe, please. Yeah, have a good one. Bye.